Hi everyone, I'm Christian and this is Crypto Ripto, and in today's rundown we're going to be talking about Bitcoin. It's finally pumped to hit that 40k mark and it's hitting that all important resistance which we'll see in the charts in a moment. But is this Bitcoin on the turn now, and will we see higher momentum, or is this a bear trap? And is it worrying times that because it pumped over the weekend it's created a little bit of a CME gap? We'll look at the charts, we'll look at the news and see what the consensus is and see where we can see Bitcoin going in the near future. Also in the news, we're going to be talking about Ethereum. Ethereum is coming to that all-important future sell-off on the 25th of June. Now, will this be a big momentum for Ethereum, or will it start to be a bearish momentum where people could start seeing the sell-off in Ethereum? Also, we're looking at the news of 3 altcoins that are sending a signal out that could potentially pump a massive 10 to 15%. We'll have a look at what people are saying about that indicator, and if you want to know more about that, stay tuned and let's get into the video. So today, for the Bitcoin price, we've seen that Bitcoin's now reached that $40,000 that everyone was calling for. And it's also broken the neckline that we've been talking about on this channel for the past week. And it's now nicely coming up to the resistance line that we've also had on the channel. But is this Bitcoin now on the turn? Or is this Bitcoin looking to create a bear trap? And also, there's a fact that there's a small CME gap that was created obviously because Bitcoin pumped on a Sunday. So we'll just pop over to the charts and have a look and see what the charts are saying. Now, if we have a look at, just bear with me. So if you have a look, Bitcoin broke through here to this resistance of what was support, but then turned into resistance, and we was calling for it to break up to the neckline and break through the neckline with volume, which it did. We've seen this nice consolidation here. We'll go over to the 1 hour chart as well. We've seen this nice consolidation here and it broke up. It also broke through with volume and continued rallying up. Now, we sort of lost momentum on volume here, but obviously as we've come into today, the people that are running through with Bitcoin, and in my opinion some of the smart money, because there was a bit of a gap because it pumped on a Sunday, continued with the momentum of Bitcoin now pumping up to hit this all-important resistance. Now, we were struggling from when we got rejected on this neckline here and fell back down. We were struggling for volume, we were struggling for momentum, and Bitcoin then started to take a turn this weekend and has gone all the way up, and a consensus in the market that Bitcoin now is sort of gaining momentum. It's broke that $40,000 mark. It's hitting this resistance where we want to see it sort of test it a few more times, maybe consolidate here and break through. If you watched my video from yesterday, we were saying it could either get rejected at this neckline and come back down, or we could break through, and if we break through with volume we can see it come all the way up and test the resistance here, which is exactly what it did. It broke through with volume, which shot it all the way up to resistance. Now, we don't want to harp on too much about Bitcoin's going to the moon or Bitcoin's now going to sink, because all the people that was on the socials and they were saying about Bitcoin's going to sink to 20k, Bitcoin's going to sink to 10k, they've sort of disappeared. They've gone back, and them bears have gone back into hibernation for the time being. But what we want to be sort of cautious of, and I want people that are watching this channel to be cautious of, that I've seen this many times, especially with the CME gaps that get created with the pumps on a Sunday, is this could potentially be a bear trap, because obviously they've sort of pumped it up, they've liquidated a lot of things which it would have happened. It would have got liquidated and stuff like that, and then they get a bit of euphoria back into the market. People think, okay, Bitcoin's on its way up, it's broke 40k, we'll start buying, only for it to get rejected at this resistance here. Now, hopefully that won't happen. I'm really bullish on Bitcoin. I'm sure a lot of you are bullish on Bitcoin, and we obviously want Bitcoin to start rising now. But as soon as Bitcoin starts rising, we've got a next challenge, obviously, to where Bitcoin gets to about between 48 and 50,000 mark, which is another psychological and strong resistance level. But we'll get onto that as and when it happens. But for the time being now, before we start making any momentums or any moves with Bitcoin, we want to see what happens with this resistance line here. We want to see it test it, and we want to see it break through, come back down, test it again, and that will be a confirmation of a breakthrough. We don't want what's called a fake out, which then gets people into long positions only for the bear trap to kick in and then we get liquidated. I'm sure that won't happen, but everyone that watches this channel knows we want to trade smart. We don't want to trade silly. So we just need to be mindful and cautious about that. You know, if the trade is not right or the buying time's not right, then we won't take it. So please everyone, obviously we're all excited. We're starting to think, great, after all of this rubbish here, we're starting to think, great, Bitcoin's on the turn, the volume's coming through, Bitcoin's starting to have its shine again, and we could see the sort of second part of this month a lot better than the first part, which would be great for everyone in crypto. But we just need to be making sure that we're not getting caught in any bear traps, we're not getting caught in any CME gap sort of catch out or anything like that. So we just want to make sure that if however you've got your chart set up, obviously this is on the 1 hour, I've got my resistance line here at 41.35 because this, as you can see here, has been strong resistance when we last broke out on this big run up here, and we tested it, rejected, tested it, rejected, all the way back down. So that's why we've got it here, and you can see we've had a massive pump up here without any really sort of breather or test, a downwards test. It's sort of like pump, side, pump. So we just have to be erring on the side of caution for this. Now this will be great, like I said, if it breaks the resistance line, comes back down, tests it, then that'll be a confirmation for me. Then as long as it's not a fake out and it retests it and starts going back up, we could gladly see this then as a strong support. Whereas if you have a look here, and I'm sure you'll all agree that do technical analysis, there's so much gap here, there's no real strength of support. I mean, you could draw a support line, would probably be best drawn about here, and that's a long way down, and that's the neckline of where we've just broke through to. And if you see, we'll go on to this here, and you can see if we get rejected at this and we drop back down to this neckline, we're going to see another 8% correction. Now 8% in the grand scheme of things is not that bad, and once we've got this moving average here, the 50-day moving average will start maybe acting as support as it comes up, and that may just get us out of the woods. Now also quickly, just before I go on to the news, because I don't want to keep you too long on today's video, I'm just going to go on to the daily chart. And like I said, I'd always update you daily now on my charts. We'll just finish off the Bitcoin price with the D cross. Now the D cross is sort of not, if you I don't know how you want to look at this, but I'm going to look at it in a positive way. You could see the end. Before it was on a sort of like a roller coaster downward spiral, but as you can see now, we've had this breakout, and Bitcoin's gone up, touched this resistance, broke the 40k barrier. You can see that the sort of 50-day moving average now is just starting to curl, and the 200-day moving average has just dipped below this resistance line, which is a good thing, because what this could mean is that it means that the D cross could just kiss and then we could move up. But what I want to say quickly about this D cross is it's not necessarily a bad thing, because if you, I don't know how long you've all been in crypto, but if you think back to 2013 where we had the sort of the two kind of big pumps, we had the one and then it crashed a little bit, and then we had the another big pump, which was like the double pump. And I think, obviously looking back, I'm just back from memory there, I think briefly we had a dip into the D cross then, and that sort of happened a little bit and shot back up and created another bounce for the sort of double peak which we seen back in 2013. So I'm not majorly concerned about this, and I'm not concerned from my holdings. The only problem that we see with a D cross is that people see this then as, oh, if that crosses, then Bitcoin's going to drop, and they start panic selling and they start trying to shed their bags, when I think most of the selling and most of the panic has already been done here, and definitely here. You know, I personally think 30 was a low bottom for Bitcoin. I didn't think we'd be seeing back below 33,000, if I'm honest, but I think 30,000 is the bottom at the moment for Bitcoin. And I think now, whether we have this decross or not, we should be seeing momentum to the upside, because there's a lot of fundamentals, there's a lot of good stuff going on outside of the manipulation in Bitcoin. There's a lot of good news coming through. There's no idiots tweeting, there's no people just trying to FUD the news or FOMO the news at the moment. So I don't see why Bitcoin can't continue on this kind of rally, and I won't call it relief rally, this rally to start putting a bit of confidence back into the market. Now, as you know, Bitcoin goes up, it drags up a lot of the other coins with it. Definitely Ethereum starts to see a momentum. The altcoins don't necessarily get a great deal of looking when Bitcoin pumps. It's more when Bitcoin's doing well but then going sideways. So if Bitcoin's in an uptrend and it's going sideways and gets a bit boring, then you start seeing that some of the money flow into the altcoins, and that's what we'll want to see. But I don't personally think we'll see that now till sort of like the end of the summer, beginning of the autumn, when we see sort of a relief rally for the altcoins. So in hindsight, like I said, we'll discuss this every day now to just keep an eye on it, but at the moment I don't see it as a massive problem for this decross, and I don't think we should be majorly concerned at this moment in time that Bitcoin's going to drop out of its arse on this decoin. So on this decross. So that being said, still just overcap, just air a bit of caution on Bitcoin's pump on this resistance here, because it has been rejected in the past, and this is where its momentum started to fall down quite a bit. So we just want to be careful of this. If it does break this resistance, we want it to go up. It could get rejected at this 50-day moving average and test, and if it tests and then starts on the upside again, that'll probably be a confirmation for us that Bitcoin's looking a lot stronger, and then maybe we can look at start taking some longs or start buying into Bitcoin in the interim. So now we're going to move on to the news. So in today's news, we're going to talk a little bit about Ethereum and what's sort of happening on the 25th of June when the smart contracts for Ethereum sort of run out. Now, this is not a majorly bearish thing, it's not a majorly bullish thing. We just don't know what's going to happen. It could be that, you know, these CME futures run out and people then think, okay, well, they've run out, we'll start, you know, investing more money into Ethereum. Or they could be thinking Ethereum's not really been doing what we want it to do, we're going to start sort of looking at something else. But that being said, we'll go through the sort of bit of news for it. If any of you have got any comments on it, or what you think is going to happen on the 25th of June when the Ethereum options expire, and you could let me know, because I personally think it will probably, like the headline will say when you see it, well, let's get it up, will be a make or break. It says here, make or break moment for Ethereum. I'm personally still quite bullish on Ethereum. So I think, you know, we could see Ethereum start to get a bit of momentum. But here it says the bulls and bears are equally nervous about the possibility of the outcome on June the 25th. 1.5 billion Ethereum options expire. Now, here it says on June the 25th, HETH will face its largest options expiry in 2021 and has 1.5 billion's worth of open interest which will be settled. This figure is 30% larger than March 26 expiry, which took place on ETH's price plunged 17% in 5 days and bottomed at nearly 1.550. Now what that's saying is that when this happened back in March, it plunged Ethereum's price, but that's not entirely true, because the whole market, it wasn't Ethereum's options coming to end. The whole market was sort of having the dip that we've not long just seen. So therefore, it's not the same scenario, in my opinion. It's not the same circumstance that, you know, the whole market's just had its dip. Now for the whole thing to just come flying down now because Ethereum's having an options expiry, doesn't seem plausible to me. But we'll carry on reading here. It says, however, ETH rallied 56% after March options expiry, reaching 2,500 within 3 weeks. These moves were completely uncorrelated to Bitcoin's BTC. Therefore, it is essential to understand if a similar market structure could be underway for June the 25th futures options expiry. Now, you can never say never on anything in cryptocurrency, but what I do agree with here is that we should, around the time, be definitely technical analysis in the chart, and we'll do it on this channel of Ethereum to see what's happening, because I'm a big fan of the smart money and trading like the smart money, and I do a lot of technical analysis around the smart money. So if on the 25th of June things are gearing up for a big dump, we should be able to see things sort of playing out in the chart. We should be seeing it in the volume. We should be seeing movements on Ethereum well before the 25th of June, because it's not just the 25th of June the options expire, everyone's going to start dumping their Ethereum, because that just wouldn't happen, because it takes time to set up, it takes time to correlate and coordinate, and it's not just going to cause a lot of panic in the market, because a lot of retail on Ethereum doesn't know about these options. They'll read it, or you'll look at this channel and I'll tell you about it, or you'll if you do a lot of the news, you'll see it in a bit of a news. But people tend to sort of pass by negative news a little bit now, or options. They'll think, I don't understand it, so I'm not going to read it. So I can't imagine there being a big impact from the retail market just for that reason. So we'll have a look at that nearer the time. I think it's about I think it's about 11 days time. We'll have a look at that, and we'll sort of see what sort of is happening around this, because obviously here it says on March 11th ETH miners organised a show of force, blah blah blah, but this will not happen this time. Obviously, I don't know if many of you remembered, because they were on about, they didn't necessarily agree with Ethereum saying it's reducing their revenues for mining, so they said they were going to show a force and crash the hash, blah blah blah, and all that kind of FUD that came around, as well as the options that was coming around at that time. And then obviously after that, Visa announced that it plans to use Ethereum on a blockchain, which sort of, it was sell the room, buy the rumor, sell the news kind of thing, and everyone sort of got momentum there. But I don't think we've got all that rubbish at the moment, and a lot can happen in the next 11 days. But like I said, we'll take it sort of nearer the time, and I'm just putting it on everyone's radar for this channel now that Ethereum's options are coming up on the 25th, and we'll look a bit more closely at the time to see what that could spell out for people that hold in Ethereum. I know most of my bag is in Ethereum and Bitcoin, so Ethereum's a big concern and a big interest to me. I'm sure a lot of people who look at this channel are big into Ethereum, so we'll definitely put that on our radar to look at closer to the time. So moving on now to the final part of today's rundown, and this is not something I've looked into greatly, but I did read the article and I did think to myself it was quite interesting, and I wanted to just do a little bit on it to say, Vortex reports when this indicator lights up, Lunar, Matic and EGLD usually gain 10%. Now this could be just guesswork from them to saying this indicator's coming. We want to sort of like put in that these coins are going to get 10%, and we're challenging by volatility and what becomes the norm of altcoins. They can gain 10% just on a whim. It doesn't take, if the momentum's coming good in the market and Bitcoin's becoming good, it doesn't take altcoins a lot to pump 10%. So let's just read. While even though a market analysis of large cap assets such as Bitcoin and Ethereum is often wide of the mark, for cryptocurrencies with smaller market capitalization, finding trading patterns can be even harder. But as the Vortex score from Cointelegraph Market Pro continues to absorb its history of most 200 digital assets, carefully analysis of some crypto tokens demonstrates that patterns do exist, even if they may be invisible to the human eye. The data doesn't lie. So what they're saying is that this indicators that Cointelegraph Markets Pros use, and I think this is like a paid service from Cointelegraph, has indicated that these altcoins are right primed up for a 10% increase. So I thought, obviously, if they're so bullish on this, and they've got the algorithms, and they've got a score which they say a score of 80 generally indicates that the algorithm has reasonably high confidence, and they're saying that this is 80%. They're pretty much saying, like they are with a lot of coins down here, and this is going to happen. So if you've got any of your bags in any of these three altcoins, let's keep an eye on them, because they could be looking to, obviously it says 10%, but it could be a little less or a lot more. So we'll just start having a look at the charts on these coins, or just keep your eye on these coins if you own them, because we could be seeing a little bit of momentum to the upside on Lunamatic and EGLD. So I know personally I'm a big Matic supporter, and I hold a lot of Matic, and we're big fans of Matic on this channel. I brought my Matic back into December when it wasn't doing anything. It was dirt cheap. They were throwing it away. I think I was getting, like, paying just the hundreds of dollars for thousands of Matic. So it was crazy time. So we've always been a big fan of Matic. Luna, don't really know a lot about. We could just go into here quickly and see what Luna is saying. I know some people are big fans of Terra Luna, and I know it does do well sometimes when we have the dips and corrections, which again it has been doing. I think that pump's already been, in my opinion, because obviously it was doing well below 6, and it went up to 632. So that's not really a big percentage of a pump, but yeah, maybe if you're holding Luna in your bag, maybe that's one to, what was the other one? Let's just have a look quick. EGLD. So we'll just have a quickly look at EGLD to see what that's doing. Now Elrond, now I know if any of you watch any other channels, I know the Martini guy, he's massive on Elrond. He's a big Elrond supporter, and he's a big Elrond fan, and he says that he's confident Elrond's going to have a nice pump. And you know, in the last day it has gone from like the lows of 80.995 up to 93.30, which is not a bad little up market. There it is, the 12.9% in the last 24 hours. Now I don't know if that's anything to rave home about, or if it's definitely, in my opinion, I wouldn't start going out buying Elrond now based on that little pump. Again, Matic's 10.7% pump in the last 24 hours. I've seen this. So yeah, maybe their indicators are right. They just report their news a little too late. Which is Matic. I mean, Matic's got a long way to go. I think I cashed out a big chunk of my Matic at $2.11, and I thought I'd sold it very, very cheap, but obviously it kept coming down, but it's starting to make its way back up, its momentum back up now. So I still think Matic's a strong coin. Well, sorry, an alt token as it is, rank 15. So I still think Matic's very strong, but I just don't know how much upside Matic's got at this moment in time, because obviously we knew when we was having them big dips and big crash, Matic was the one support. If you had Matic in your portfolio, it was the one holding your portfolio together. So maybe Matic's starting to look like it's coming out of the woods quite a bit now. It went down 17.2%, and it's starting to have a little bit of a comeback now. So maybe that their indicators are actually right, and we're starting to see a lot a lot of momentum obviously in Bitcoin and a little bit in Ethereum, but we're starting to see a bit more momentum in the market as a whole. We're starting to see people in the crypto market get a bit more excited, get a bit more fluent, because they took a hammering. There was extreme fear in the market. Now there's just fear in the market at the moment. We need to get that to a neutral stage, and then a good bit of price action happening on Bitcoin for it to get into the stage where we start seeing things pump again. So we're just going to recap now, obviously, with today's rundown. Bitcoin is broke out of the 40,000 mark. It broke with quite a bit of volume quickly, and it got rejected at the resistance that we put in at $41,000. So we're just waiting to see if it breaks that resistance, retests that resistance to give us a confirmation that Bitcoin's on to new highs. Because I think on, depending what timeline, on some of the lower timelines, Bitcoin did put in a higher low, which is not too bad. In the news, we're looking at Ethereum, where we just want to make sure that we're got this on a radar. Ethereum's options that are going to expire on the 25th of June. Historically in March we did see a downside, but obviously the same environment is not as it will be on the 25th that it was in March, so it could be different. So we will look at that at the time. And the three altcoins that I just put in just because I've seen it in the news, the Elron, Matic, and the Luna, well, Terra Luna, are starting to look a bit more positive and a bit more marked with having their 10, I think it's 10, 13 and 14% pumps. So all in all, some of the altcoins are starting to have a little bit of green spouts coming through them, which is good for cryptocurrency. It's good for us. It's good for our portfolios, but we do want to see Bitcoin to start gaining a bit more strength, really shake them bears out, make sure we're not hitting a bear trap and we're not getting caught out by this CME gap, or we're not getting caught out by the smart money again, just tricking us into a fake out of this resistance, and then it traces back down. So that's all from me today. I hope everything's been, as always, informative on this channel, because this channel is for educational purposes. It's not financial advice, because I'd have to be a financial advisor for that, and I'm not. So therefore, just don't take it as financial advice. Just take it as education for you to get everything that we say on your radar, and then go and do your research for whatever it is you want to do yourself. But as always, I really thank you for watching this video, and if you've watched it to the end, I really thank you even more. Please subscribe, hit that bell button, slap a like on there. It really helps the channel progress. It helps me keep giving you fresh information, whether I waffle a bit or not, or whether I go on a little bit. Sorry about that. I'm just passionate about crypto, and also I'm passionate about bringing technical analysis with the smart money that are always trying to rip off the average working class kind of dude or dudess. Do you know what I mean? And we all want this to stop happening, so we can get back to doing what we used to do on the last bull run, and that's enjoying crypto, enjoying the gains, enjoying the excitement, and also making sure that everyone sort of did not get ripped off too bad, unless it was by the scammers, which we'll never get rid of. So also watch out for them. So until the next video, as always, trade safe, trade smart, and